When you speak and I'm speaking, I can't hear you. So if you keep speaking while I'm speaking, we just cancel each other out.
When I speak and you speak, then we will cancel each other out. So if you just wait for me to finish, then I'll be able to ask you to answer.
Can I just say,
you can set out your position, what your opposition.
That was the arrogant Tory MP Douglas Ross, or Douglas Dross as he's affectionately known as in Scotland, really at his obnoxious best. I will say the reason why I say this later on, but on the 16th of January 2023, the most mocked Scottish linesman Douglas Ross was at a Scottish Affairs Committee meeting about hydrogen and carbon capture in Scotland, where our Dross thinks the main reason to be there is to make himself the centre of attention again.
You've launched a number of papers recently. They're full of figures and statistics. Do you have any concern that your own reputation and that of your government has taken quite a kicking recently based on the widely inaccurate claim that you continued to use on Scotland's potential for renewable energy? And what do you say to people who would now question the figures you are currently using, given that history of you personally and the SNP government continuing to use a figure that they knew to be incorrect?
No, I don't. The figures that are contained within, for example, our energy strategy are actually, many of the figures are from either independent sources or have been verified by our own economists and our own statisticians. And some of those have actually also been subject to independent verification as well from out with the Scottish Government. So I'm very confident the figures that we actually have within our energy strategy, within our hydrogen action plan, and also in our onshore wind policy statement we published in December are all accurate figures. And that they will stand up to scrutiny.
So were you previously aware that you were using inaccurate figures with the 25% renewable energy figure that you continue to use?
We've already set out a position on that. So when we became aware that it wasn't an accurate figure,
when did you become aware of
said
that,
we would
Cabinet
undertake work to
Secretary?
update that. We would update that. If you let me finish, I'll be able to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I was just saying, when did you become...
And we're going through that process. I'm sorry, when you speak and I'm speaking, I can't hear you. So if you keep speaking while I'm speaking, we just cancel each other out. So what I've said is that we've already said we'll undertake work in order to revise that, and that work's been undertaken just now.
You said in the answer that I heard, when we became aware. When did you become aware of that inaccurate figure?
I think the figure was back in, if I recall correctly, sometime back in September.
So your junior minister, Lorna Slater, told the Scottish Parliament ministers became aware on the 8th of November. Was that an inaccurate statement from Lorna Slater?
No, I don't think it was. So if I don't have the papers in front of me on the issue, but I would recall the figure which was provided by Lorna Slater was correct at the time.
And you're saying it was back in September, but Paul Wheelhouse, who hasn't been an MSP since 2021 and was previously a minister within the department you now serve as Cabinet Secretary, was made aware of concerns from civil servants about it prior to his failure to be re-elected in 2021. Are you honestly trying to say you only knew about it back in September of last year?
Yeah, I am, yes.
Okay, that's very interesting, because obviously we take at face value what our witnesses say here, and I hope we don't have to revisit any incorrect statements by yourself in this evidence session. Can I go on to ask about hydrogen and the announcement on free ports, particularly Cromarty and of course Firth of Forth on Friday? You are the Cabinet Secretary who has the two Green ministers within your portfolio in the Scottish Parliament. Are they fully supportive of the Freeport announcements that was made jointly by the UK and Scottish governments on Friday?
No, I think it was quite clear is that the Green Party take a different position on the issue of green freeports, which is why it's not part of the Butte House Agreement.
So there is no collective responsibility within the Scottish Government for freeports within your partners?
So no, it's not part of course, they take a different position on the matter, which they stated at the time on Friday when the announcement was made. But as ministers, they're not directly involved in issues around the green freeports.
But they are in the department. that is directly involved, you as Cabinet Secretary. They are your junior ministers, and their lack of support, and indeed their outright opposition, you don't think is a concern within your own department, that your junior ministers disagree?
No,
sorry, Mr Matheson, sorry, Cabinet Secretary, when I speak and you speak, then we will cancel each other out. So if you just wait for me to finish, then I'll be able to ask you to answer. You don't have any concerns at all that your junior ministers take a diametrically opposed view to you on such an important issue such as free ports in Scotland?
No, I don't.
And why not? I mean, when you have discussions about the opportunities and the benefits, 25,000 jobs coming to Cromarty, I think it's 40 or 50,000 jobs at Firth of Forth, do you not have concerns that your junior members, junior ministers, don't support that?
No, it's not. It's just...
No, because the Scottish Government supports them.
But they are Scottish Government ministers. I shouldn't really have to point that out to you.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that, but from the Scottish Government's policy point of view, we support the green free ports and we're taking forward policy measures that will help to support them going forward. So in terms of their role and their difference in view as a party in the matter, it doesn't raise any concerns with me in terms of the potential impact that will have in taking it forward as a policy.
So you're happy you can take a different approach from your ministers. Would you then strongly disagree and indeed question how the Greens could describe free ports, which both the Scottish and UK Government have backed, as failed and dated Tory gimmicks? They're wrong to say that, aren't they, your Green colleagues?
Look, if you want to take evidence from the Green Party on their position on free ports, my suggestion would be is to ask them to come along as witnesses, and they can set out their position, what their opposition.
Cabinet Secretary, we are here to try and get your evidence concerning hydrogen, and I'm hoping that Mr Ross will start to ask some questions just about the focus of this inquiry. You've asked questions about the Greens and about free ports. Can we now get back to the substance of this session, please, which is hydrogen in Scotland?
Well, thanks.
Now, I don't really know who's in the right here because I don't live in Scotland, but the one thing I have noticed about our Douglas Dross is that he seems to think it's all about him, and if you don't believe me, I have a number of Scottish Select Committee meetings where it's all about him being incredibly arrogant and seems to be as obnoxious as he possibly can to anyone and everyone. But what do you guys think? Was our arrogant Douglas Dross at his obnoxious best? Let me know down below and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.